About 1,000 years later, the old Empire base was discovered by accident in the spring of 1914 AD. The discovery was made when the body of the Archduke of Austria was taken over by an officer of the Domain Expeditionary Force. This officer, who was stationed in the asteroid belt, was sent to Earth on a routine mission to gather reconnaissance. The purpose of this takeover was to use the body as a disguise through which to infiltrate human society in order to gather information about current events on Earth. The officer, as an ISB, having greater power than the being inhabiting the body of the Archduke, simply pushed the being out and took over control of the body. However, this officer did not realize how much the Habsburgs were hated by feuding factions in the country, so he was caught off guard when the body of the Archduke was assassinated by the Bosnian student. The officer, or ISB, was suddenly knocked out of the body when it was shot by the assassin. Disoriented, the ISB inadvertently penetrated one of the Amnesia Force screens and was captured. Eventually, the domain discovered that a wide area of space is monitored by an electronic force field which controls all of the ISBs in this end of the galaxy, including Earth. The electronic force screen is designed to detect ISBs and prevent them from leaving the area. If an ISB attempts to penetrate the force screen, it captures them in a kind of electronic net. The result is that the captured ISB is subjected to very severe brainwashing treatment, which erases the memory of the ISB. This process uses a tremendous electrical shock, just like the Earth psychiatrists use electrical shock therapy to erase the memory and personality of a patient and to make them more cooperative. On Earth, this therapy uses only a few hundred volts of electricity. However, the electrical voltage used by the old Empire operation against ISBs is on the order of magnitude of billions of volts. This tremendous shock completely wipes out all the memory of the ISB. The memory eraser is not just for one life or one body, it wipes out all the accumulated experiences of a nearly infinite past, as well as the identity of the ISB. The shock was intended to make it impossible for the ISB to remember who they are, where they came from, their knowledge or skills, their memory of the past, and ability to function as a spiritual entity. They are overwhelmed into becoming a mindless robotic non-entity. After the shock, a series of post-hypnotic suggestions are used to install false memories and a false time orientation in each ISB. This includes the command to return to the base after the body dies, so that the same kind of shock and hypnosis can be done again and again and again forever. The hypnotic command also tells the patient to forget to remember. What the domain learned from the experience of this officer is that the old Empire has been using Earth as a prison planet for a very long time. Exactly how long is unknown, perhaps millions of years. So when the body of the ISB dies, they depart from the body. They are detected by the force screen, they are captured, and ordered by hypnotic command to return to the light. The idea of heaven and the afterlife are part of the hypnotic suggestion, a part of the treachery which makes the whole mechanism work. After the ISB has been shocked and hypnotized to erase the memory of the life just lived, the ISB is immediately commanded hypnotically to report back to the Earth as though they were on a secret mission to inhabit a new body. Each ISB is told that they have a special purpose for being on Earth, but of course there is no purpose for being in a prison, at least not for the prisoner. Any undesirable ISBs who are sentenced to Earth were classified as untouchable by the old Empire. This included anyone that the old Empire judged to be criminals who are too vicious to be reformed or subdued, as well as other criminals such as sex perverts or beings unwilling to do any productive work. An untouchable classification of ISBs also includes a variety of political prisoners. This includes ISBs who are considered to be non-compliant freethinkers or revolutionaries who make trouble for the governments of the various planets of the old Empire. Of course, anyone with a previous military record against the old Empire is also shipped off to Earth. A list of untouchables includes artists, painters, singers, musicians, writers, actors, and performers of every kind. For this reason, Earth has more artists per capita than any other planet in the old Empire. Untouchables also include intellectuals, inventors, and geniuses in almost every field. Since everything the old Empire considers valuable has long since been invented or created over the last few trillion years, they have no further use for such beings. This includes skilled managers also, which are not needed in a society of obedient robotic citizens. Anyone who is not willing or able to submit to mindless economic, political, and religious servitude as a tax-paying worker in the class system of the old Empire are untouchable and sentenced to receive memory wipeout and permanent imprisonment on Earth. The next result is that an ISB is unable to escape because they can't remember who they are, where they came from, where they are. They have been hypnotized to think that they are someone, something, sometime, and somewhere other than where they really are. The domain officer who was assassinated while in the body of Archduke of Austria was likewise captured by the old Empire force. Because this particular officer was a high-powered ISB compared to most, he was taken away to a secret old Empire base under the surface of the planet Mars. They put him into a special electronic prison cell and held him there. Fortunately, this domain officer was able to escape from the underground base after 27 years in captivity. When he escaped from the old Empire base, he returned immediately to his own base in the asteroid belt. His commanding officer ordered that a battlecruiser be dispatched to the coordinates of that base provided by this officer and to destroy that base completely. This old Empire base was located a few hundred miles north of the equator on Mars in the Cydonia region. Although the military base of the old Empire was destroyed, unfortunately much of the vast machinery of the ISB-4 screens, the electroshock, amnesia, hypnosis machinery, continues to function in other undiscovered locations right up to the present moment. The main base or control center for this mind control prison operation has never been found, so the influences of this base or bases are still in effect. The domain has observed that since the old Empire space forces were destroyed, there is no one left to actively prevent other planetary systems from bringing their own untouchable ISBs to Earth from all over this galaxy and from other galaxies nearby. Therefore, Earth has become a universal dumping ground for this entire region of space. This in part explains the very unusual mix of races, cultures, languages, moral codes, religious and political influences among the ISB population on Earth. The number and variety of heterogeneous societies on Earth are extremely unusual on a normal planet. Most Sun-type 12 Class 7 planets are inhabited by only one humanoid body type or race, if any. In addition, most of the ancient civilizations of Earth and many of the events of Earth have been heavily influenced by the hidden hypnotic operation of the old Empire base. So far, no one has figured out exactly where and how this operation is run, or by whom, because it is so heavily protected by screens and traps. Furthermore, there has been no operation undertaken to seek out, discover, and destroy the vast and ancient network of electronics machinery that create the ISB-4 screens at this end of the galaxy. Until this has been done, we are not able to prevent or interrupt the electric shock operation, hypnosis, and remote thought control of the old Empire prison planet. Of course, all the crew members of the Domain Expeditionary Force now remain aware of this phenomena at all times while operating in this solar system space, so as to prevent detection and the capture by old Empire traps.